Hello, boys and girls. Today, I want to talk to you about yesterday's homework. Only about 20 students sent me an email. Remember yesterday I asked you to send me emails and show me your writing. Well, we're not finished. So you still have time. Maybe you didn't have time to watch the video yesterday. That's okay. You need to watch that video again and write the answers to my questions. And I want to fix your answers to be sure your writing is very good. Okay? Then when you're in 4th grade, we can talk about it and you can tell me all your stories and your English will be so good. All right. Today I'm not going to give you homework. No more writing today. Today I want to review some of the stories we read from Unit 9. Let's look at them again and talk about them again. We read them a long time ago, so I want to read the stories again and look at them. First, let's turn to page 162 in your book 3. So, in your Our World, page 162. Let's look at that story again. The story is called the Paralympics. Now, Paralympics, we usually say Olympics. For example, this summer in Japan, they will have the Olympics. And the Olympics are sports, and it's a big competition. We talked about it. You can win the gold, the silver, or the bronze. Gold is first place, silver is second place, and bronze is third place. Now, many athletes, people who play sports, from Taiwan, from every country in the world, will go to Japan, will go to Tokyo, and they will have a big competition. And that competition is called the Olympics. And the Olympics happen every 4 years. Now, the story in this book is not about the Olympics. It's about the Paralympics. Now, what are the Paralympics? Well, they're the same as the Olympics, but they're different in one thing. If, for example, somebody is in a wheelchair, you know the wheelchair? The chair, maybe somebody cannot walk, so they're in a wheelchair. Well, they can have a race. Or maybe somebody doesn't have legs, they can still swim. So those people are a little different, and they still play sports. And the sports competition they go to is called the Paralympics. So help me, look at page 162 in your Our World again. Let's read it together one more time. Okay? So let's look at it. The Paralympics. You've probably heard of the Olympic Games. Now you notice it says present perfect, you have. And then the PP verb is heard. You have probably heard of the Olympic Games. And I would ask you, have you heard of the Olympic Games? Yes, I have heard of the Olympic Games. Or maybe you would say, no, I haven't heard of the Olympic Games. Remember before the summer I asked you, have you ever heard of the Olympic Games? And if you say no, then you can say never. No, I have never heard of the Olympic Games. So let's read the story again. You've probably heard of the Olympic Games. And you see Olympic Games, big O and a capital G. People from many countries come together every 4 years to run, swim, and play other sports at the Olympics. So there are many, many sports. Probably you have seen the Olympics on television. 4 years ago, there was the Olympics, and people were running and swimming, and even in the winter, they have Winter Olympics. People can ski and ice skate. It's really exciting. And many people want to watch that. So let's read the book. Another great sporting event called the Paralympic Games also takes place every 4 years. Also takes place means also happens. Okay? At the Paralympics, people with disabilities come together to run, swim, and compete at sports. Now the important verb here is compete. If you have a competition, you want to compete. So maybe you and your brother want to see who is the fastest. You can have a race. So you compete. That means try to see who wins. Some people don't like to compete. Sometimes when you compete, you feel bad because you don't want to lose. But if you compete sometimes, it will make you work harder to be better. So the verb is compete. I also want you to look at another word, disabilities. People with disabilities. Now what does that mean? That means people who do things differently than you and I. For example, people with disabilities, maybe somebody cannot see. He has a disability. Maybe somebody doesn't have legs. He has a disability. So disability can be many things. If a person only has one arm, he has a disability. If a person cannot hear, he has a disability. And we call these people with disabilities. Okay, let's read the story. Years ago, people with disabilities didn't take part in many sports. Take part means to play together. So if you couldn't see, or you couldn't hear, or you didn't have one arm, or you're in a wheelchair, those people couldn't play in sports. But that was a long time ago. Today they can. So let's read it. Now, at the Paralympics, they compete in sports such as skiing, wheelchair tennis. You know, they play tennis and they sit in the wheelchairs. And judo. At the beginning of the game, they dress in the national uniforms and take part in parades. And I told you last time, before the games start, they will do this in Tokyo in Japan this summer too. They will have a big parade and all the players will wear their special uniforms. So Taiwan will have special uniforms, Japan will have special uniforms, America will have its own uniforms. Every country has their own uniforms for the games. So when you go there, you can look and you say, wow, I know those players, they're from Taiwan because I know that uniform. It is called the national uniform. National means that country's uniform. So when they win, they receive medals that celebrate their strength. You know, these people are very strong. It's not difficult, for example, to play tennis in a wheelchair. And when they win, they receive really cool medals, gold, silver, and bronze. Let's read the next one. We're going to talk about one person, okay? His name is Daniel Diaz. Daniel Diaz was born with no hands and only one foot. In school, children called him names. When they say called him names, they said bad things to him, not nice. He stayed home a lot. He probably didn't like to go to school because children laughed at him. He didn't do much. When he was 16, Daniel watched the Paralympics on TV and saw disabled people like him swimming. Now that's important, that word disabled. Disabled people. I want you to think of this. When you go to Taipei and you take the MRT, maybe you will see disabled people. Disabled people, maybe they cannot walk, maybe they're in a wheelchair, maybe they cannot see. We call those disabled people. And often you will give your seat to a disabled person so they can sit down. Okay? So disabled people. There's even a place if disabled people are in a car. Maybe they're not driving, but somebody's driving them. And there's a place to park. And that is a disabled parking place. What's that mean? That means that people who are in that car cannot go very far because they are disabled. So they can park closer to the door. You know what I mean. It will have a picture of someone in a wheelchair. And we cannot park there or park our cars because that parking place is for cars with disabled people. Okay, let's read it. Okay. Soon he was, no, I forgot a sentence. He exercised and learned to swim. It must be very difficult. It's amazing, right? Soon he was fit and strong. What does fit mean? In this sentence, fit means he exercised a lot, so he has muscles. If you are fit, that means you have muscles. You're not too fat and you exercise a lot. So maybe your grandfather is very fit because he walks in the park every day. Okay. He was also very fast. He won gold medals in his first Paralympic Games in Beijing. Beijing is a city in China. It is the capital of China. Beijing is a city in China. Beijing is the capital of China. And before, there were Olympic Games in Beijing and Paralympic Games. And this boy, he went to Beijing and he competed in the Paralympic Games in Beijing. It's amazing. And he won gold medals. You know, that's really important. All right, let's read the next one. The Paralympic Games changed Daniel's life. They are also helping to change how people see Paralympians and other people with physical disabilities. I know it's not easy to read these words. Let's look at them. Paralympians. Who are they? They are people who compete in the Paralympics. We call them Paralympians. If you compete in the Olympics, you are called an Olympian. Now, physical disability. Physical means your body, remember? Physical disability means your body has something that other people don't have, or you don't have something that other people have. Maybe, for example, this boy doesn't have hands, right? So he has a physical disability. All right. Now, we have written page 163, but I need us to read it. So let's look at the words, okay? At the top, disabilities. And remember we said people with disabilities. 4, medals, parade, and swim. So let's read the sentence. The Olympics and the Paralympics take place, and I told you that means they happen, every, and you know the answer, 4 years. I know you wrote this before, but I'm scared that maybe you cannot say some of these words, and I want to review it. So let's read it. Olympics, Paralympics take place every 4 years. Let's look at number 2. People who are in the Paralympics, what are they called? Paralympians. So look at number 2. Paralympians are athletes who also have disabilities. Say the word disabilities. Not really number 3, but C, okay? At the beginning, that means the start. At the beginning of the Paralympics, there is a dinosaur. No, not dinosaur. There is a party. No, not a party. There is a parade. I told you, all of the athletes walk around in their national uniforms, and that is a big parade, and they will wave, and people will, throw flowers. It's a big parade. After he saw the Paralympics, Daniel Diaz learned to fly. No, no, no. Learn to cook. No, no, no. Learn to swim. Okay? So before this, he couldn't swim. But he saw the Paralympics on TV and he said, I want to do that. So he learned to swim and now he has many gold medals. All right, at the bottom, let's read part 4. Learn about a Paralympian from your country. Tell the class about him or her. So they want you to Google Taiwan Paralympian and tell us about a famous Paralympian from Taiwan. Number B, on B, letter B. Pretend that you are a journalist. That means a reporter. And your partner is Daniel Diaz. Act out an interview with him. So they want you to be a reporter talking to Daniel Diaz. You will ask him questions. Maybe you will say, was it hard to learn how to swim? Maybe you could say, how did you feel when you won a gold medal? Maybe you could say, a long time ago, children laughed at you. What do you want to say to those children today? And he probably wants to say, bleh, 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 because they laughed at him. Okay, look at the next one. Make a poster about the Paralympics. So you could take a big piece of paper and you could draw people competing in the Paralympics. All right, now I want to turn a page. We have done this page before, but I want to look at one more thing. Please look at page 162. At the top it says, what did you do yesterday? And let's look at all the pictures. This is a game. You could play it like a board game. And they're talking about the past tense. And the first one, I had a party yesterday. Number 2, I ate out with my family yesterday. Number 3, do you know that one? I rode an elephant. No. I rode a horse yesterday. Number 4, I took off all my, not took off all my clothes. I went to the beach. Okay? I made a sandcastle. I swam in the ocean. Okay? The next one, oh my God, this is a parade. And when you are in a parade, you took part in a parade. The next one, I know they're running, and you could say I ran. But really, what did they do? They competed. They had a competition. They competed. The next one, I watched fireworks. I went to a movie. You could also say I watched a movie. I saw a movie. I went to a theater. Next one, what are they doing? Oh my goodness, do you know what that place is? It's a museum. So I visited a dinosaur museum. The next one, oh my goodness, is that cake? My favorite. I ate a piece of cake. Oh my gosh, so yummy. The next one, I went skiing. I went skiing. In that sentence, we're going to write skiing with ing. I went skiing. And the last one, you could say, I swam, or you could say, I went swimming. I went to the swimming pool. I jumped in the swimming pool. I pushed my brother in the swimming pool. No, don't do that. Okay, we have finished page 162, 163, and 164 in review. Next time, we're going to review some more stories from this book. So tomorrow's class, is it tomorrow? No, not tomorrow. Next hour, we are going to look at Unit 9 again. See you later, monkeys. Bye-bye.